Let's imagine one scenario now, that Manuel is a tourist arriving for the first time here in Lagos. He doesn't know anything about the city. The only thing that he has is an AI-powered app that he just asked for a plan for these 3 days here in Lagos. The app will come back to him asking what is his budget, how much he has to spend here. And based on his response, the app will plan a 3-day trip here in Lagos with a kayaking trip that he loves water sport, also a dolphin watch trip, and a dinner with a nice Portuguese restaurant that will try the famous cataplana here in Algarve. That scenario that I described now, it's happening today. It's not the future. I'm not talking about the future. All the technology that I'm describing here, it's available for us now. And that's our reality that can influence several sectors here, especially in Algarve. When I describe, the business needs to be prepared for that. And that is the theme for this talk, that we're going to cover a few items. And also, I will raise some points that we need to pay attention to. This was a talk in 2019 that I was speaking for the first time about AI. For many of you, AI came with like ChatGPT, it's something new. But the reality is AI, it's a field inside computer science with more than 50 years. So when I heard AI for the first time, I was in college 20 years ago. And now we are here with a total different future. That when I was speaking at that moment, I was visioning machine learning be something embedded in our applications that will help just part of the process. I could not imagine a scenario that we have now, that we have personal assistant that can help us to be more productive. For example, today, when I was preparing this talk, I was talking with my wife, and I just recorded the audio of that conversation. And later on, I got that audio sent to our AI model and asked to transcribe all the important points and things that I should look after based on my wife's response. And that's an important thing because her opinion matters. And with that information just crossed with all my research, and then I have a base to kind of like start the starting point for this talk. And we are talking about mixing audio, text, documents, and talking with a natural language. I didn't use any code. I didn't use those tools are available for all of us. And that is a reality for many of you here today. And just for we understand how impactful this is, I'm talking about in 5 years from now, it's a prediction from the World Economic Forum, that's visioning 22% of the jobs will be affected by AI. If you count in here a room with like 100 people and each row of that has like 10 people, we are counting like 2 rows of that, and more than 2 will be affected by AI. But also we have a positive point here. We have some credit. Like 107 million jobs will be created. So we need to embrace those opportunities. 92 million jobs will be closed. The other thing that we need to be prepared for the change. And that graph just show, I just put an AI, SWE is a software engineer. It's the thing that I work daily, this area that I work daily. And that graph represents the percentage of coding that AI can solve. And as we can see here, it's an exponential growth. 1 year ago, we have an agent that was capable to do 13% of the code that I write daily. So kind of like 13% of the things that I do. But software engineering is more complex than that. We are not only write code. We have more things that we do daily. But 1 year later, one AI model was capable to solve 63% of the code that a software engineer write daily. And the previous prediction was like 5 years, but for example, for software engineering, that's moving even faster. I talk about 1 year, 63%, and probably next year, we're gonna be almost 100%. And we need to adapt for that. We need to adapt for this reality. It's not only for software engineers, but other areas as well. Other industries need to be prepared for that change. And yeah, I think it's the big question, like how we can be prepared for that. And everything is moving so fast. And I just imagine, like, always in the back of my mind, when everyone is super excited, just came this woodpecker cartoon that he arrived on an island, everything is so excited, everyone welcome him, say, welcome, we have food, and you are our guest, please be our guest. And we just get this warm bath, and we just enjoy that. But later on, he just realized that this is not a bath. And that's a scenario that we also need to pay attention to not end up with the woodpecker in a warm bath, not a warm bath. We need to be prepared for that transition. We need to embrace AI. And I saw that, like we did a quiz here who is like embracing AI. It's good to see that. But still people resistant to that change. Our research due to Slack and Salesforce identify 5 different types of users. People that believe in AI that call maximalists. I'm including that group, that embrace AI daily and promoting them. Another group is the underground, that are using AI, but they are afraid to tell that they are using AI. It's real. Sometimes when you see the numbers of like the percent of users, consider that group that it's using, but it's afraid to tell the boss that, oh, I don't want to tell my boss that I'm using that. But it's a part of the problem that we need to adapt, okay? And we have the fans that they admire what's happening in the world, but they didn't have the opportunity to try yet. And on the other side, on the negative side, people that are just like observing the change, and the rebels that are against, they say, oh, it's all a hype, and that will not last forever. But the truth is, AI came to stay. It's a reality. And we need to embrace this. And the actual scenario that I'm seeing now, just reminds me the time that I was at school, when we have a subject that was called internet. I don't know if you like have a subject, internet, right? And at that time it was something new, and it was something that we need to adapt. But the difference is the time that the internet was implemented. We need to build infrastructure, like physical infrastructure. We're still struggling to have good internet. But AI is getting in our homes like instantaneously, and it's moving so fast. And the same way that we prepare for the internet, we need to be prepared for the AI. Because back on time, when I have the first contact with web, just inspired me to work with the things that I do now. That I work with web. I develop applications for the web. And the same should be done for AI. We need to teach, the education system needs to be prepared for that. And embrace the new future workforce, and also the new researchers. And something that we need to prepare people to, in the future, AI just be a thing, that we even don't like talk about like how to learn, because we all are fluent to do that. But now it's only the private sector that is like take care of that transition and detecting that. The other important point for that's change is the public sector. Because the scenario that I described on the first slide, where someone's arrive here and do all those bookings, we need the infrastructure for that. We need to support small business to that transition. We need to support entrepreneurs to understand what that transition means and also provide the infrastructure for that. We have now in Lisbon and Porto, we call like the digital city hall, that we have all the information available for the city hall. And this in the future also will be a requirement for AI, that we have a backbone that will provide a service integrated with AI, that we can connect with those small business to make that scenario that I described at the beginning of the presentation even better. That is just like in a small and click, we can just connect with business and do all those bookings and connect with those small business here. And that's something that will be all together. We're gonna need to work on that to be ready for that transition. And the first slide, I showed that image. I don't know if it was small, and I was here talking, try make you imaginate this scenario. And there is one trick thing that, is that image real? Can you tell me that's real? It's a real image? That image is a AI-generated image. And I just did a prompt, like a really well-made prompt, describing Ponta da Piedade. And an AI model create that image for me. And I use for good, to talk about Lagos, promote Lagos. But also, that can be used for bad. That can be used to trick people, and we need to take care of that. One situation that always I kind of get a little bit upset when all the memes that people talk about EU, the European Union, not be aware about the moving of AI, not have the strong technology. But EU is doing a super important part on that. It's creating the AI Act that tries to regulate and create a safe environment for us. Because the same way that I use that image, I could trick you to guide you for total misinformation. And that's super important. We need to develop tools to identify what is real, what is not real, how we can use those informations, how we can share, and how the apps can use that information as well. This is super important for we discuss. And probably I think tons of you on social media was just flooded by all those images of nice style, that Ghibli style, that is a Japanese animation studio that creates Totoro and another a lot of famous animations. And it was super interesting to see people create those images, sharing about that. And the kind of sad story that the studio was total against AI, and they didn't approve the usage of those images being generated by AI. And some people say, oh, but it's all generated at real time. But AI, it's only a mimic of our creation. When we type something in a ChatGPT or any type of chat or chatbot, that behavior is just mimicking the things that we did in the past. And one moment, that AI model got tons of those images and train on that and understand what is a Ghibli image. And then generate millions of images without give any credit for the studios. $0 for them. Until that time, probably something happened, but until the time that I prepared this slide, none was gave to that studio. And that's only one part. Several creators are past the same situation. And it's another important thing that we need to discuss is how we make that sustainable, how we can support creators. Because at the beginning of the story, need someone to create that. Need someone to get a paper, and get a pen, and make this draw, and make this style. And something that we need to discuss to find ways to make this sustainable. How we can support artists and creators, because at the beginning, it's all human-made, and AI just mimic that. And I was super happy, like watching the beginning of the event. Was something that probably was like connect with the theme of this event. And I will talk about those two research. On the right side, it's a protein. It's a protein mapped by AI. Was a research that was made to Eanes, is the creator of DeepMind that's now acquired by Google. He's a researcher, and he mapped tons and tons of proteins using AI, and then he won the Nobel Prize doing to that research. The side effect of that, in the future, we will be able to produce medicines for all kinds of disease. And his predictions is saying that in 10 years, he will be able to produce medicines for all kinds of disease. Imagine that. Like, live in a world that like we have available all the medicines, all due to AI. And that's outside the text generation part. AI can go forward now. AI can integrate even with communications. Like another study is like the dolphin JAMA. Dolphin JAMA, it's a study that map dolphin communication. We heard the sounds of the ocean this morning, and it's super interesting to see that with AI model, we are able to understand a dolphin language. Can you imagine that? Just going to a trip, a dolphin watch trip, and understand the communication what those animals are saying that moment. And that's not only for that, but also to understand the planet that we are living now. And that's a super important thing. And that's the bright of AI, the direction that we can go to make our future even better. And we make sure that that future, it's a bright future. The things that I ask, it's to get involved, to ask companies for transparency, to participate, ask for a regulation, and participate on the discussion of that regulation. Because with that, there is no limits for us. We cross in technology with the human creativity. We're going to have a bright future with AI. That's my opinion about that. Those are my words that I want to share today. I hope that I let you excited. And thank you again for watching.